Welcome to the platform where the stories weigh a ton. This is where some of the MHSPLA's best tell real stories about what it takes to build themselves and their teams under the bar. I'm your co-host, Chris Whittaker, and we're glad you're here. Hey, if you're enjoying this show, please make sure you subscribe and follow and leave a review on all major podcast hosts, including Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Amazon Music, and many more. That support helps us continue to grow the show and bring the conversations that you want to hear right here to the platform. If you'd like to suggest a guest or give us feedback for the show, please email info@mhspla.com and we'll get back to you. Also, we're proud to announce the launch of our MHSPLA gear shop, t-shirts, hats, and more. Visit mhspla-shop.fourthwall.com and check back often and frequently because new items are being added all the time. Again, that's mhspla-shop.fourthwall.com. Today's episode is episode number 17, featuring part one of a conversation with two very successful powerlifting athletes in the state of Michigan, Miss Morgan Gilliam and Miss Erin Ribic, maiden name Dickey. In this first part, we go back to where it all started, the early pioneering days of girls powerlifting in Michigan, by growing a program from a handful of athletes into a full team, and what it took to build the camaraderie that defined those years. Morgan and Erin share how they each found their way to the platform, the meets that shaped them, and how the sport has grown since. We wrap up part one right as the conversation turns towards life after high school. So make sure you come back on Thursday and hear part two. Until then, step up, lock in. The bar's loaded for episode 17 with Morgan Gilliam and Erin Ribic. Hit the intro music.
Welcome to the platform where the stories weigh a ton. Squat, bench, dead, we rise as one. Michigan's lifters, this is our home. Turn it up, feel that foam. This is the platform.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bar is loaded for another episode of your Michigan High School Powerlifting Association podcast, The Platform, where the stories weigh a ton. I'm your co-host, as always, Chris Whittaker. We're back again with my guy, your guy, the leader of this whole thing, Coach Chris Gilliam. Coach Gilliam, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Very excited for this episode. Two well-accomplished women in the sport of powerlifting that came from the MHSPLA and went on to bigger, better things down the road. So I'm excited. I think for all of our female lifters, they should be super excited to see and listen to this episode.
Yeah, I think this one is going to be fun for sure. First, I will introduce this young lady that Coach Gilliam, you may know a little bit. Right? You may have worked with her in the past.
Yes.
Things like that. Right? She competed collegiately and internationally. She was a member of the 2018 U.S. Sub-Junior National Team that won the IPF World title. Her college team was a USAPL Collegiate National Champs 4 times. And she still holds 12 Michigan State records and 3 Midwest regional records. She once upon a time set 2 American records in her very first USAPL meet. This young lady is also a 2-time MHSPLA state champion and former record holder. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Morgan Gilliam.
All right.
Hello.
Oh, man, Morgan, I didn't have the button. There it is.
Yeah. All right. You can all do that. I love it.
I love it.
All right. Well, I want to welcome and introduce our other guest today. This guest once held 15 equipped American records for her weight class. She also held 14 more Michigan State records. She now resides in the state of Washington, where she currently holds 5 Washington State equipped records. There are numerous other retired records that she held at one time when she competed. She was the Open USAPL national champ in 2002 at 17 years old. Later that year, she became the IPF sub-junior world champ. Let's welcome Erin Ribic, formerly Erin Dickey, for those of you from Plainwell, Michigan. Let's welcome her. All right.
Thanks, guys.
So, welcome both of you. Now, listen, I'm gonna have a hard time not Aaron living in Washington State. There's a lot of Bigfoot activity out there, but that's a whole nother episode.
There is.
A
Yes.
whole lot of Bigfoot activity going on up there. So we'll get this show on the road here going. First thing, right? And why don't we start with Aaron for this? Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living? Are you married, kids, any of that?
No kids, married. I am a physical therapist now. So that's kind of where the sport road took me down was, so I work as a physical therapist in a hospital setting. I originally thought I wanted to work with sports just because of powerlifting, and then ended up really loving being in the hospital. So, my husband and I also we met through fitness, and we run bodybuilding shows. So that's part of our business too.
Yeah, we plan on talking to you about that later.
Yeah,
for
fitness
sure.
is, I mean, it's really shaped every part of my life. Is where it all started, was in the weight room in high school.
Awesome. Morgan, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so not married, no kids. But currently I run yeah, thanks, Steph. But yeah, currently I run my own business, and then I also work full time as an exercise physiologist. My business is geared towards like powerlifting and performance, mainly, and I do like in-person and online personal training as well.
All right. Good.
Yeah. Remember, when that day comes, I know a very reasonably priced DJ, Coach Gilliam.
That's right.
Very,
We'll be the
very
first one we
affordable.
call.
Very affordable. Aaron, I just wanted to say, like, for me, in my experience, some of the best PTs I've ever had and athletic trainers that I've ever had the chance to work with are the ones that spend time under the bar and know what it's like to be under the bar. So I'm sure
Mhm.
any strength coach, personal trainer that gets to work with you, I'm sure they love it, because I've had them where they don't.
They sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, you want to give the first question? We'll let Morgan answer this one first, and then Aaron, you can, okay?
All right. So looking into the MHSPLA and your high school experience, section 1.
All right.
I'm still working on the buttons.
Yeah.
for sure.
I think it's
remember
great though.
if I have to hold the button down or just tap it once. High production value, Aaron, on this show here.
This
Coach
is great.
Gilliam and I, we've been flying by the seat of our pants for the
Yeah,
last
we're doing all
several
right.
weeks. All right.
I think you guys are doing great.
Thanks, but you have to say that because you're related to one of us.
Yeah, that's right.
How, Morgan, did you get first introduced to the sport of powerlifting?
Yeah, so I got introduced by my dad, Chris Gilliam. I guess there's Dad can probably tell better than me, but there is like a little legendary story, I guess, of when I was 2. I carried a Hawaiian punch jug into the house because I wanted to help carry in groceries, and
Oh,
I guess
yeah,
a
she
few of his
wasn't even a
football.
year old.
Oh, yeah, so I guess I was younger than that. And he was like, a couple football players were over, and they're like, "Coach, like she's got to be a power lifter." And then when I was 11, my dad started teaching me to squat and bench. But before that, I had kind of been in the weight room because of his football practice, because he was a football coach, even now, but like my whole life. And so I think he had me like start on like maybe some machines, whatever ones I fit on during that time. I was doing like step ups. I think I was trying to do push ups. And then when I was 11, started learning to squat and bench. And then when I was 12, he was like, "All right, kid, we're gonna compete this year." And then never looked back.
Yeah. Yeah. So real quick on that story, Coach and Aaron, we moved into our first house. I had some players with me. We were moving groceries into the house. So the players were grabbing some stuff and moving it, and then they turned and they said, "Coach, look." And Morgan was probably about 10 months old, so she'd been walking for maybe like a month. She, you know, those big Hawaiian punch jugs with the handle, she's carrying it like a goblet squat, and she's just walking down the sidewalk with it. And I was like, "What are you doing, kid?" And they're like, "You got a little power lifter on your hands there, coach." So that was the moment we kind of proclaimed, okay, she's probably gonna do this stuff as she gets
We
older.
manifested
She
it.
just
Yep.
grew up around it. Yeah.
That jug
So how
was
about
probably as
you?
big as you were at that point.
Probably.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Aaron, how about yourself? How'd you get introduced to it?
So my
You
story
were
is
a
much
cross
different.
country runner, right?
I was a cross country runner because I was little and skinny. And Todd Miller was teaching. We kind of cross country took a class so we could get our first run of the day in during school, and he kind of oversaw the cross country kids going for our 3-mile recovery run every morning as a class. And so kind of a combination of that, and I needed a ride home from school from my friend Phil, and Phil had to go to the powerlifting meeting. So I was sitting out in the hallway waiting for him to drive me home, and Todd's wife at the time, Karen, who was one of our assistant coaches, was just like, "Come on in!" Like, and I was like, "No, I'm just waiting for my friend." And she's like, "Get in here!" So I accidentally sat through the powerlifting meeting. And kind of was listening, and and I knew a lot of the girls in there. I was like, this seems kind of cool. So kind of the combination of those things, and they're like, we need a 97 pounder. So I was like, I'd
Everybody
done
needs
volleyball
that.
as a freshman. I
Yeah.
fight also, that was never going to be my my career. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. Like, let's just do it. So I never really touched a weight until I was 15 years old.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you shot up real fast in the ranks there.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So both of you, I mean, with your experience, and we'll start with Aaron on this one, was the weight room an intimidating place for you? And what convinced you that you had what it took to step on the platform at a meet over time?
Yeah, I would say it was, because at the time there weren't many girls in there. And it wasn't the nicest weight room in those days. At first we ended up getting a nicer one, but it was there were a lot of guys, there was loud music, there were heavy weights. It was definitely, but I'm also stubborn, and I kind of think I just wanted to do it because not a lot of girls were doing it. So I was like, sure, let's just be the girl who does it. So getting on the platform, I think Todd probably just said, we're gonna go compete this weekend. So
Yeah, that sounds like Todd. Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
yeah.
Were you pretty nervous, I'd imagine?
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know if you've got questions later. I mean, my first meet, I benched the bar, and I think I squatted in full gear. I mean, we're talking knee wraps,
Yeah.
like bench shirts. I squatted 115, and I think I deadlifted a plate. I mean, it was just
Sure.
that was
You didn't even need the equipment, probably.
right. Oh, I'm sure we weren't even knew how to use it properly at that point.
Sure, but no, that's awesome, and that's all it takes to get the adrenaline going, the confidence going. So awesome, good. And Morgan, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on that briefly earlier, but I would say for me, I guess, I mean, I'm sure there were times I felt a little intimidated, but I was really lucky in the fact that like my dad, exposed me to that really early, and so like I don't know, I've just always felt like the weight room is a place that I feel like most myself because of that, and so like and plus I was around those big scary guys with the loud music because I was always at football practice. Um, and so like, yeah, so I mean, I think that's also why I do what I do now, because I love specifically working with women and making them feel comfortable in the weight room because I always had that.
Mm.
Getting on the platform, yeah, I think you pretty much were just like, all right, we're competing, and I was just like, okay. I was a little nervous, but yeah.
Yeah, I think your mom was probably more nervous than you were, and definitely more nervous than I was. But
Yeah.
yeah, I could only put her in the weight room, and only so long, Aaron, could she do coloring books and stay entertained. Eventually, it's like she just was wandering out there, like all kids do, trying to mimic what others are doing, And so then I'm like, no, you can't get under the bar. So it was lunges and step
Yeah.
ups and air squats And then
Yeah.
we introduced a bar,
Yeah.
over time. But we actually introduced like the curl bar first because we didn't have anything small enough or
Light
lighter
enough.
for training bars. So we had to do the easy curl bar at first,
That's
and then
so
we
funny.
transitioned to a bar over time. So yeah, that was pretty good. That was fun.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
think
we did
that's
a
awesome
similar
that
for Todd's girls because they
that's
were
Yeah.
6 and
awesome.
8 when they started, and they had somebody
Yeah.
worked in steel, or they had a custom like 10-pound bar made for them with these
Yeah.
little sleeves that would add a pound on each side.
Yeah.
That's
So that
adorable.
because same thing, they were stuck in the weight room over the summers, and they just at some point wanted to jump in.
Yeah. His
Yeah.
daughters were really strong. They gave a demonstration on how to do certain lifts at the football coach's clinic because Todd did a strength session once and he had his girls in there doing the demonstration, Coach Whittaker. And I'm just looking at it going, these girls lift more than some of the guys suiting up for me on Friday nights, and they're not very big. I'm like, we better change our program a little bit.
You want
It
to
was
get a
pretty
football
awesome.
coach's attention? Bring girls in and put girls in front of them that can lift more than the players. Then you
Yeah.
And they could. That's legit.
Yeah.
For
But yeah, I
sure.
think that's awesome, Aaron, that you like did that because I feel like I got lucky in the sense that I was exposed to it really young, so that just takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Or ignorance, I
cool.
don't know which.
Oh,
it's an interesting thing, and we hear it all the time. And I'm hoping to keep my two. I have a 4-year-old Aaron and a 1-year-old. Much like the Gilliam girls, the Whittaker girls here are all over the place. And my daughter Mila, the older one, likes to come down and train with me. One day she dropped a 5-pound plate on her toe. That was a great time. But we're hoping we can keep that going. Hoping we
Yeah,
can
sure.
keep that stuff going.
it must
So,
be something with the name Chris.
Yeah, probably.
hey, the other Chris I know that's in your family, he doesn't have all girls.
No.
True.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And as we're talking about this, Morgan, we definitely need to do a podcast with your mom.
Oh my
Have her
gosh,
on, and we're going to talk about your dad. But your dad's not going to be there when we do it, and we'll let him.
That might be the best thing to do. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, what is this gonna be like the powerlifting wives episode?
Yeah.
We could do that. You won't get much out of my wife about it because she's like, "Oh, you're going to the meet? Cool. I'll see you when you get back." But she helps us at ours. Anyway, we're getting down rabbit holes, which we do very easily on this show. Because again, Aaron, we're flying by the seat of our pants
Love it.
in all ways. So within our association, right, it's kind of unique. And I think it's powerlifting in general, but definitely within the MHSPLA, there's a lot of camaraderie between competitors, not just people kind of on the same team. But when you guys were training, we talked about how there wasn't that many girls involved. So were you training with other girls, or were you training in with the group of boys?
So I was, I think, around the third year that Todd was coaching powerlifting. His first kind of initial class of lifters had one girl. But she was a cool, pretty girl in school, Tara O'Brien, and she made it okay for girls to do it. So by the time I got in, there was a pretty decent group of us. There was 12 maybe the first year. I mean, we were filling most weight classes, and so definitely training with the girls, but we were never, it wasn't like segregated. The girls train over here, the guys train. I mean, we all trained together. We tended to train together because we were lifting similar weights, but no, we had a fun team. I mean, some of those girls, multiple of them, I still keep in contact to this day and still see when I go into town. I mean, those are lifelong friendships. We traveled together, we trained together, we came up together. But the guys, it was one big group, and that's what I liked. It was a big co-ed group, and everybody got along. Guys are bringing up all kinds of memories. We were expected at meets, we had a buddy, and so usually we'd have like a girl and a guy buddy, especially at high school nationals, multi-day events. And so to help each other out, the day you weren't lifting, you helped your buddy carry their bag, help them get check-ins. So yeah, we definitely had a really tight-knit group.
Okay, so your buddy was kind of like your handler at the meet then, right?
I wouldn't even say that, because
Did they
Todd
help you
called all the
guys get
shots,
in your
but
gear and
like
stuff?
more just kind of moral support and somebody
Okay.
they could help you load your warm up weight. Yeah,
Nice.
more so than like actually calling the numbers, but just kind of helping. Because I mean,
Okay.
at one point we had 100 kids on the team or 90 kids or something crazy. I mean, it was, I don't know how that
It
even,
grew fast from what Todd
it
told
grew
us.
really fast. So I think that was the only way to keep some kind of handle on it was we all
Yeah,
just
he
kind of
couldn't be all of those places.
had to,
There's
I
no
mean,
way.
that, yeah, wrap each other's knees. And I mean, it was not uncommon to wrap somebody's knees after you got off the platform from doing your lift. You were wrapping the next lifter, like to help them
Sure.
get ready.
Yeah, I mean, a whole different dynamic with equipped
Mhm.
lifting. And currently our girls would have no idea about that because we're totally raw now. So, all right. How about you, Morgan?
So, I'm sorry, the question again? One more
The
time.
camaraderie, high school.
The camera
Did you
Oh,
train with
yes,
other
yes, yes.
girls? Was it co-ed
Yes!
training?
Yeah, so we kinda similar experience, I guess when I was in 7th grade, what did we have, like, 5 or 6 of us, I think? Maybe a little bit more, maybe like 5 to 8. Um, and I yeah, I was in 7th grade, I was the only middle schooler, and then there were some other girls that my dad had gotten, to join, and then, yeah, so we just kinda, like, lifted, and I felt like we were a pretty tight-knit group. I remember us all being super nervous for our first, like, MHSPLA meet. I remember one of the girls, like, she was so nervous about commands, like, she paused at the bottom of her squat because she thought she had to control it, so, yeah, we kind of all bonded over our nerves and all of that, and, yeah, and then the program just really grew. I went to Birch Run High School, and that's where my dad spent most of his career, for teaching, like, so far, and coaching, and, yeah, I think we ended up having, like, 100 and some kids or pretty dang close by the time my senior year rolled around, and yeah, I would say it was still a pretty tight-knit group. I mean, we kinda ran it like a football practice, so, we all, like, rotated in and, I mean, because you have to, we had a really small weight room, and so when you have that many kids, I think we ended up my last year having, like, 2 sessions or something, so, like, some of us would start on, like, our auxes and then go to, like, the main lifts and switch, and yeah, just really great bonding, and then same thing for when we did, USAPA high school, USAPL high school nationals, yeah, we had a co-ed team, and it was all really great. We went to Wisconsin that year. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Morgan was unique, Aaron, that to motivate some of the boys, sometimes I put her in a group with them because she would outwork them. And that was my message to them. Quit slacking because she's making you look bad.
Well,
Yeah,
I would lift in
I'm
the
her dad, but I've coached a lot of really good athletes in my day. She has the best work ethic of anybody I've ever coached. And I'm glad that she's my daughter because of that. But yeah, so that I used her to motivate and push some boys. And eventually
well,
we did that with a lot of the girls.
sometimes they would take, like, the summer off or whatever, and then season would roll around, and they're, like, playing catch up, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was it was cool. So I guess I did a little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Todd got ticked at me because probably I was being a brat and got mad at me one season. We'd switch lifting partners, and he partnered me with one of the guys and made me change all the weight for him. I got so
Oh,
strong.
that
But
was
yeah,
his
it was I
message
had
to
to partner
you.
with Ronnie, and I had to unload all of Ronnie's weights and load my little weights on.
Dang. Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
That was
Remember,
my
That,
punishment.
that's
that's making
funny.
me think of when, my dad got sick of us one practice because nobody was loading the weights right. And so he literally stopped practice and he was like, "All right, you've got 3 people and the 2 are loading the weight, you're calling it, you have to tell them what to put on." And I think if we didn't load it right, we had to run.
Yeah. And we ended up calling it eventually the NASCAR challenge. It was
Yes,
about
yep.
what pit crew could work the fastest, putting the weights
Training your
on.
spotters and loaders.
Yeah. It's like, it was
Yeah, it was
about being
great.
efficient. I mean, I already was there all day. I didn't need to be there another 5 hours for powerlifting practice. It's like,
Maybe you can implement that, Whittaker.
Oh,
yeah,
we already do that. That's how
Perfect.
we train. They're
I love
loading.
that.
If they're not doing that, I'm getting on them for doing the wrong
all right.
Mhm.
every day.
Well, I'm going to start with Aaron on this one. Can you take us back? Or you talked about your first meet a little bit on the weights you did, right? Do you remember your first state championship meet for the MHSPLA?
Yeah, I think you might have numbers more than I do. I think it was in Muskegon that year,
Yeah.
2000. Um, and that one, that was terrifying because it was big.
Huge.
And back in those days, there may have been two girls' platforms. Usually we'd go to these meets and there would be the girls' platform and then all the other platforms. But
Right.
that was really the first time I probably had competition, like actually had multiple people in my own weight class also.
Yeah.
So, and that was the first meet. So back in the day, like people didn't really know the rules of powerlifting. I mean, you guys had your rule book, but we were just winging it a lot back then. And Karen Miller actually won me my first state championship. She was in charge. She was always in charge of the girls' platform, and she knew the rule about changing your third deadlift attempt, and no one else knew that rule. So
Oh, yeah.
she legitimately won me my first state championship by knowing the strategy at that point.
Yeah.
And
So she did reported a weight, then you changed it
and
so
then
you could
I
pull
think
it
the
and
gal I
let.
was competing against missed or whatever happened the moment that girl got, we knew if she got it or not. She changed my third attempt to make sure
Yeah.
that
You
I
beat
would,
her.
yeah, if I pulled it. So which caused a stir because the coach of that girl didn't know the rules either and thought we cheated. So
Oh, yeah.
um yeah, but I mean, there's so much more strategy now. There's so much more intention with how attempts are picked. And back then we were truly just like, I don't know, what do you think you want to do next? I don't know. It was just very loosey goosey.
Sure.
So, um,
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine, especially being like your first year, it's like you're mainly like relying on them to just tell you what weights to do, right? Because you're still not really sure what you're totally
or you're
capable
picking
of.
it. You go to the table and they're like, what are you doing next? And you're like, I don't know. Let's try this. Like you just,
Sure. Yeah, I understand. Well,
we
it's
had no
like
plan.
you only had, like you said, like two platforms for the girls.
Hmm.
Now there's an entire meet just for the
Hmm.
girls.
It's so cool.
I mean, well, hopefully one of these days you come back during the powerlifting season, you can stop by and check out one.
Yeah, that'd be
Because
awesome.
like it's way
Hmm.
different because I was just starting to coach. I was probably the same time frame as Coach Miller when I was coaching. So like 97 would have been my first year of coaching powerlifting. And I only had like a couple boys. And then it just kind of grew and grew over time. But Morgan, how about you? You remember your first state championship? Me? You know,
Oh,
your first one similar to Aaron's as far as probably scary, but you guys had your own meet, right?
yeah, we did. It was separate days at that point. Yeah, that was my junior
Friday
year.
night.
Mm, was ours Friday night or was it?
Yeah, the girls were Friday night and the boys would be Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon.
Oh yeah, it was it changed my senior year, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I would have competed on a Friday night. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember where it was to be honest, but
Traverse
um
City West.
oh yes, that was great. Yeah, that was quite a trip. But yeah, I mean, I just remember I mean, I guess at that point I had already done like a USAPL meet. We had kind of changed our training and everything. And so I don't know, my faith was always like and my dad calling my numbers, I was like, "Yep, like I'm gonna lift it." I wasn't I mean, I guess I would ask during, like, training and stuff, but I was just, like I was ready to go. I think I missed, like, a lift, and I remember, or you wanted me to do a little bit less on something, and I really wanted to do more to break a record, but yeah, but that's what I needed to do to win the meet, so, yep.
Gotcha. All right.
Mhm.
Coach Whittaker?
All right. So, is there any particular meet that sticks out in your memory from your time in the MHSPLA, like a specific regional meet, or you guys have both talked about your first state meets, but any other particular meets that stick out? We could start. Why don't we start with Morgan? We'll go back up now.
Yeah. Mm. I guess my senior year really was pretty great in terms of the team that we had. We had a bunch of foreign exchange students that were on the team, from all over, I think Italy, Spain, and then Sweden. So, um it was just really great to see them, like, they never really lifted before. They might have, like, went to the gym and did, like, some machines, some dumbbell stuff, but not, like, a lot, and so to see them, like, pick up something new, we had, like, really great chemistry. I remember, we decided to do, like, a team dance that year, and so, like, we filmed it at the end of, like, the meet. It was, like, to, the song, like, "All I Do Is Win," and, we actually placed pretty high as a team, and I just think that goes to show, like, the sport, like, some of the girls, like, you know, they may have missed lifts or didn't have a good day, but, like, we all came together as a team, and I really valued that year because it just shows like how much those relationships mean, because you're all working hard in the weight room and trying to accomplish something like greater than just yourselves. So yeah, I feel like that meet, and I believe that was at Lake Orion, really sticks out to me. So
Yeah, we had 3 foreign exchange girls, and what was unique about them, you know, when you'd say, "Hey, put a 25 on the end," and they would crap their pants because they're thinking kilos. They're not thinking pounds, you know, and I'm like, "I gotta Americanize you ladies." And so they always freaked out about weights because they're automatically went, you know, "Oh my gosh, that's a lot of weight." You know? But yeah, I remember one of the last regionals, 2 of the girls had already qualified for state. The last one, I remember everybody being around for her on her last deadlift. She
yes,
needed Willett to get to states for the qualifying total. And when she got it, I remember how excited everyone was. That stuck out
yeah,
pretty
that
big
was a
for
really good
me.
meet.
So, how about you, Erin?
Yeah, I think that Muskegon meet probably stuck out the most. It kind of all blurs together what was USA PL at the time meets versus the Michigan high school meets. But like Morgan was saying, like just the camaraderie, it's what I remember most collectively is just being with the group of girls and just all of us competing together. And you remember the parents that were there every single weekend in the stands. My dad used to joke that his butt was shaped like a bleacher because of me, because he was stuck sitting watching these meets that would go till 10 o'clock at night.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, so more than just the individual meet was just the meets, just the excitement of the day, carpooling to get there, everybody loading into cars with tons of
Hmm.
kids and getting to the meet, helping each other out. So
Yeah. What did your parents think, Erin, when you said, "Hey, I'm going to power lift"?
I think so. The background is my parents were both music majors, like they're both musicians, and I have zero musical talent. But I think they're just kind of like, oh, what's Erin up to again? You know, what's she doing this
Sure.
week? You know, it's but they thought they were very supportive and thought it was cool, but I
Yeah.
think probably not the way they saw their 90
I can
pound
tell you,
but tall daughter going.
every time I recruited like a girl to try and join our team, and then, you know, being a teacher, and then like parent teacher conferences or something like that, and their parents would come and visit you, and the dads were always like super jacked that their girl was
Yes,
participating in powerlifting. You know, they would tell you on the side, like, "Thank you so much for getting her involved in something." You know, you could just tell like they were excited for their kid, because so many of the kids that I ended up coaching, I mean, some of them played other sports, but there's a good amount of them like that. That was their sport. That's the one thing that their dad like tried to get them in other sports. They didn't stick, but powerlifting stuck with them. So that made it pretty neat. So
Yeah, my dad became like the unofficial videographer. I mean, I have tapes of my first meet, but then he
nice.
started taping all the girls because we realized this. I mean, this is how old it was. We could do video feedback. We could watch the tapes after the meet and see what we all
Yeah.
did wrong. I mean, everybody does that instantly now on their cell phones, but that
Yeah,
became
not back then they weren't, but that's
right. That was
awesome.
kind of that became his kind of job, was to be the video guy
yeah,
for the
he was
girls.
the film man.
That's,
My
that's
first
the secret to those 8 state titles in a row, man.
my first meet, I remember Aaron Bird, who was one of our bigger guy lifters, cramming me into an old Z suit, and his arm was bigger than my thigh at the time, and he was a big guy. And my dad came running down the bleachers with his camera, and Kara Miller's like, "Oh God, they're gonna sue us." And my dad just wanted to take pictures of what was happening because it was so ridiculous.
Yeah, he
But
wanted the
Kara's like, "Oh
memory.
God, Mr. Dickey's gonna come yell at us," but no, he just wanted to document what was happening.
That's awesome. Sure. Well, heck, you wouldn't know because he's running down the stand. That's
Yeah.
funny. That's pretty cool. Aaron, start with you on this one. Talking about the community, you guys travel and stuff. So where there's the community, the coaches, the peers, what was the reaction from everybody like that you associated with when it became known that, all right, I'm gonna be a power lifter? I mean, you're not the biggest gal. You lifted in the 97-pound weight class, which coaches love that because it's hard to find that weight class. But it's not typical choice of sport for somebody that's that small. Like, do you remember what your parents thought or said? Do you remember what your friends might have thought or said?
Well, and my friends, because we had such a big program at the school, if you weren't doing another sport, you were doing powerlifting. I mean, we had such a big program. But I will say with my family, I mean, I still get this from people when someone will say, "Oh, she used to be a powerlifter." People still like, "Really, you were?" It's. I still get that reaction. So.
Sure.
But I
Yeah.
think now it's just more I wouldn't say it wasn't not accepted back then, but definitely more common. I mean, CrossFit made lifting okay for women. So I think it's just more common now. You go to the gym and there's more than 2 women in the gym.
Yeah, it's not as
Regularly
shocking
now.
anymore that when somebody
Yeah.
goes, "Yeah, I'm a power lifter."
Yeah.
It's more like socially acceptable because it's more common. I got you.
Mhm.
How about you, Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really remember anyone being, like, super shocked just because I was always, like, coach's kid in school. So, I think they were like, yeah, kind of course, like, it was almost like, expected in a way, just because of, like, you being a teacher at the school that I was at, a coach, and you also did powerlifting and football, so, um, yeah, I mean, I think maybe some people in our family were a little like, oh, like, worried about, like, "Are you gonna hurt yourself?" and stuff like that, like, the typical worries. I'm
Yeah,
sure
like
one of
your
them was mom.
grandpas and your grandmas.
Yep, yep, and mom probably a little bit
Grandparents seem to
too.
be worried. Sure.
Yeah, yep, but yeah,
Well, you
after
remember
that, I
like in
mean,
seventh grade when there was only a handful of you? Did you guys ever
yeah,
feel like you're by yourselves, or did you still feel like part of the team?
I guess both at the same time because we had each other, we had good camaraderie during that season, and it was something that, um, like, we were the building blocks for the program to become bigger, for more opportunity for people. We were, like, I guess, the trailblazers of, like, "Hey, like, you should come and do this, like, you should try this, you're gonna love it," and kinda, like, touching on what you were saying earlier about how, like, it gave people a sport. It gave people something that might not have had, like, a club or anything to belong to before, um so, yeah, I mean, I think I played a little bit of other sports like volleyball, a little bit of basketball, but mainly volleyball and track, and, so, like, some of those girls, like, you know, I had, like, some camaraderie with them, but it was never anything like powerlifting, like how that was, and so, yeah, so sometimes, like, depending on the group, a little bit of both.
Gotcha. All right, Coach Whittaker.
All right, that's going to move us into our next category of questions, the post 2000 boom and changing perspectives.
Nice.
That one was smooth.
That was pretty good,
That one
Coach.
was smooth.
Dang.
Getting better. Still flying by the seat of our pants. We're getting better. High school female powerlifting has absolutely skyrocketed post 2000. We have schools in our association now that their programs have just jumped in numbers. I mean, I think Troy Athens carried like 50 some girls last year. When you guys competed, did you feel like pioneers for the sport for females? Was there already a lot of other girls? Aaron kind of alluded to this already. There wasn't that many other girls, but did you feel like a pioneer in the sport at your time?
I don't know if it would be pioneer because pretty early on, I think by 2001, Todd was taking a group of us to women's nationals for USA Powerlifting. So my first women's nationals in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So when we went down there with our girls team, I mean, Susie Hartwig was there, Liz Willett was there, Jen Maley was there. I mean, some really truly IPF and USA Powerlifting Hall of Fame women were there. And so I think what it did was, by taking us to those events and seeing these other women of all ages and all backgrounds from all over the country competing, was just really powerful, in that it's not just this high school thing. There's a lot of people doing it. So to us, they were the pioneers. They were the women who've been doing it for 15 or 20 years. Susie Hartwig, who's now Susie Gary, sat down with the girls before lifting started and talked to all of us in a small group and just kind of let us know what the day was going to be like. And then very professionally was like, okay, I'm going to go lift now. If you have any other questions, I will, I'm done lifting. You can come and talk to me again. But she needed her space to lift. But she was so gracious with her time and sitting down with this whole team of girls that were terrified at their first nationals. But yeah, I think we just thought we were discovering something that we didn't know existed, that was out there.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that. I mean, and to be quite honest, they were, the pioneers for the sport. But honestly, your generation, I think, Erin, was the pioneers for the MHSPLA.
Absolutely.
How about you, Morgan? How did you, obviously you were a little bit further along when you came in, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
Go
if I
ahead.
ever really felt like a pioneer, of the sport. I mean, I felt like not just myself, I felt that in a team aspect, for our specific school, and just, my dad being my coach, we used to have the holiday meet at Bertrand in December. So we were doing things that the schools around us, in our district and stuff, weren't doing. And so I just felt like we were kind of all trailblazers and creating more opportunities for other people. But yeah, I don't know if I necessarily felt like a pioneer of powerlifting. I kind of felt similar with USAPL, seeing all these super strong women when I went to my first raw nationals, and I was just like, oh my gosh, all these women have been competing for so long, and here I am, just a little 17-year-old, but so yeah.
Erin, do you remember how many people typically would be in your weight class at a meet?
At nationals, you mean? Or
No,
just
let's go back to MHSPLA. How many
sometimes I was the only one, especially being
Okay.
the 97 pounder. So that's why that first state meet, when there were multiple
More?
girls, that was, even at nationals, there were never more than 4 or 5. A big year would be if we filled a flight. So
Okay.
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
and now I know those smaller weight classes just are some of the bigger weight classes, which is awesome. So
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, your weight class no longer exists
I
in the
know it doesn't
MHSPLA
exactly exist anymore, but
because we weren't
Yes.
getting a ton of kids in there, and so we just we figured that those 97 pounders will lift 105, and the strong ones like you would have won it anyway. So
I came up in the Gen Melee era. I would not have. Not even close.
Oh.
all right.
I needed that class.
Yeah, I gotcha. I mean, Morgan, you were in a variety of weight classes throughout your
Oh, yeah.
career, so yours were some of the more populated weight classes as you went through, and that
Yeah.
changes every year. But
I mean, I would say generally the weight classes I was in, we're always pretty competitive. And they were always full. So yeah, I would agree to that for sure.
yeah, but I think one of your first weight classes was 145 or 155, and
Yeah.
I just know over the years that you competed, it went from 15 or 16 girls in that weight class to there could be over 30 in the weight
Yeah.
class at a meet.
Very popular
So
weight class.
that's when you realize that the sport's growing, when certain weight classes are doubling in size, because that's typically the sign of more participants.
Oh yeah.
Especially when it's a regional meet. All right. Early 2000s, Erin, there were still some pervasive myths about lifting making women bulky, right? How did you navigate those societal stigmas during your high school years? Were you
That
ever
was
worried about getting too bulky?
that was never a problem for me.
Well,
Um,
Did you know girls that were there girls that maybe even on your own team that worried about it?
I don't think so. There's just
Okay.
something so cool about like it gives girls this feeling of being capable and strong, and I think it gives you the confidence to just not care that I just don't think the body image issues it wasn't because of the lifting. Nobody felt like, oh my gosh, I got to stop lifting because I'm getting too big. I mean, if anything else, gals started trimming down a little and just feeling better about their
Yeah,
bodies because of what they're capable of, not because how they looked. And so then that changes your perspective. It just, yeah, like I said, I never had to do
sure. Well, and you know, I mean, I don't know if there were girls at your school that might have used that as a reason not to participate, but it
I
sounds like
don't,
you guys had a ton of them
yeah,
that participated anyway. So not
yeah.
that
Well, in our
like you
weight
got
room, classes were full. I mean, I think that's part of the reason the team was so big is Todd was teaching weight training all day long. Um, and there were girls in every class. So I think it was pretty accepted. And some girls actually took it to either get ready for a different sport,
Hmm,
or because they wanted to get in shape. So,
sure. No, that's awesome. I mean, honestly, you were at the beginning of like the mindset changing, I think, to be quite honest, because it was in those years, your guys' success led to like Whitmore Lake winning 4 in a row, and then Croswell Lexington going on like 9 or 10 in a row. Like it just like you just started seeing, you know, you guys would show up with a lot of girls. Nobody else had a lot of girls. And
uh-huh.
I think people realize if we're going to ever win against Plainwell, we better get a lot of girls, you know? And so I think it changed the mindset.
Mhm.
I think there's definitely, you, like I said, you guys are pioneers for our association because I think you should guys showed just within your own school, like it's okay to do this and look at
Mhm.
how much fun they're having, how they're getting along, they're successful. And then you guys took it another level going to nationals and not just doing it within the state where people would go, well, they got the most girls. That's why they're winning it. You would also take a smaller group of girls to nationals and do quite well as well, you know? So
Yep.
I think that was great. It was the start of something that's turned into huge success for the MHSPLA at the national level too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. How about you, Morgan? Do you remember girls ever saying that they didn't want to do powerlifting because they didn't want to get too bulky?
yeah, I mean, I do remember that happening. But I think it kind of what Aaron was saying, like it easily went away as they got stronger and just like being in that environment. But I do remember that being a fear. And I do think it stopped like some girls from coming out because I don't know, there's like kind of this stigma of like, I'm gonna look kind of manly and be bulky and stuff. And that's not the case. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I think what probably where our situation was different in Plainwell, we didn't have too many weightlifting classes at the time during
Yep.
school, so it was all relying on after school participation. And so
Hmm.
you could eliminate that with large classes of kids doing it and getting comfortable with this environment. So, all right, good. Coach?
So the MHSPLA has added a separate girls junior varsity division as well to handle the massive participation spikes. This year, the varsity state meet had more girls in it than we had boys competing this year. Looking back, right, did you guys kind of see that evolution coming? Could you have predicted that while you were kind of in the midst of it?
Go
Gosh,
ahead,
maybe not
Aaron.
that big. Yeah, I mean, it was growing for sure, but at least in my years, it wasn't exponentially growing. We had a big group of girls, but then some would graduate, and then we get a couple more in. So, I think the big spike really happened probably after like 2004, 5, 6 years, more like Caitlin and Kendra Miller era. is when the huge numbers really started. Although high school national my last year was gigantic for the women. So different parts of the country, right? You draw from Louisiana, you draw from Nebraska. Texas, of course, has their huge organization for the women. So I think
Especially
maybe
equipped.
so I think different pockets were starting to grow, and maybe we were one of those pockets. But no, I would have never imagined it. I mean, when I was on the board for USA Powerlifting, which would have been like 2003 to 6, maybe, is when I was the secretary. I mean, the membership, we probably had 2,500 members in all of USA Powerlifting at that time. So it just, I don't think any organization anticipated the growth and the speed of growth that it happened.
Oh yeah, I thought I seen that you were secretary for there for a little bit. So yeah, you would have seen it at the national level, like maybe start to spike while you were doing that. Okay.
Just
Well, which-
starting. Yeah, just starting.
yeah, I understand that. That's cool. Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, I guess because I was kind of in this weird, like, most of my career was kind of like the old way of, what Aaron was around. And then the last, like, little bit of it was when we ended up implementing the JV division. So my junior and senior year, I believe, we had the JV division. But I think if you would ask like seventh grade me, I would have been like, no, like just because we had such little girls and like we were trying to get more girls to come out. But then I think if you would have asked me like my freshman, sophomore year, like, yeah, I definitely saw that coming just because our program was getting bigger. The schools around us, they were getting programs, even if they were little, but like you just saw like powerlifting showing up everywhere. Um, and then yeah, the state meets were just getting bigger, they were taking longer, and so yeah, I definitely ended up seeing it coming, but probably not initially. So
Sure. Yeah, just to give you some perspective, Aaron. So like I looked up, it was probably a year after you were out of high school. I seen an old like state scoring thing. And so there was like 36 schools that participated throughout the state. This year we had 78 different schools represented at the state
Yeah, it
meet.
was not overnight, but like within a year or two, it just exploded.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like it's one of those things where like it's just, some schools only have a handful of lifters still, but we're getting more and more schools that have, 20 boys, 20 girls. And we got some schools like they got 20 JV, 20 varsity for each gender. You know, it's getting, and there's more and more like that. Like you guys had a ton at your time. USAPL, when you lifted, everything was equipped then as well, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so the raw didn't even exist in the USAPL. So, I mean, you guys were training equipped all the time, so I think USAPL starting to steer towards raw also helped kind of our association because we went completely raw after the 2007 season. We got rid of all equipment.
I was
So,
trying to remember when we voted in the raw division. I mean, that was a heated debate at that NGB of like what that meant. Does raw allow knee wraps? Does it not allow? Do knee sleeves count as, that was but that was probably around, that might have been in like 2005 or 6 that they had the first raw nationals, and it was just a handful of people. And then we know what happened with that,
yeah.
bigger and bigger exponentially. So
Yeah, and that's probably why the USAPL's numbers of, they're the largest one in the country. Because once you eliminate all the specialized equipment, it opens it up for a lot more people.
Yeah, it takes all the barriers out of costs, or just, I always needed help. You always have to have somebody to come pull straps up, or,
Sure.
it just
yeah,
makes it easier.
it's hard to train in equipment if you don't have like a village, literally. Because when I was in college, we had an equipped team and then a raw team, and I mean, I learned how to wrap people's knees just so I could help people at practice or like that worked out with me or at meets. So it takes a village.
Oh, yeah. So with the rise of platforms like Instagram and TikTok, I'm not sure Erin, you're closer to like us than
Mhm.
Morgan is. Like, you know, women's powerlifting, because of those platforms, let's be honest, has gained massive visibility. How do you think social media has changed the blueprint for young girls getting into the sport today compared to when you competed, Erin?
Oh gosh, I mean, we didn't have any of that. I mean, Facebook didn't even come along till I was in college. So, you really just read about it in Powerlifting USA magazine if you saw pictures. So that's where even just, yeah, there wasn't much visibility at all. I mean, you would get wives or daughters who would come watch their dads lift in a meet and maybe get interested in it, but there wasn't, that was most people's way in. I think just having it available where everyone can see, there's a lot of people doing it, definitely. Like you
Yeah,
said,
I mean,
increased
so
visibility
you
and
didn't obtain information about powerlifting unless you were kind of already in the sport, right? Because
right,
you'd
and then you
want,
had to go find the old forums where people used to argue all the time, and that was the only way.
yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. And then in our state, Coach Whittaker, she's probably referring to like M Live and stuff like that, because they used to have Friday Night Titans for football, and they had all these different forums where the kids would talk crap, and even the communities. So good old days.
And
How
I
about
teach
you,
That's funny.
Morgan? You're more of the TikTok and Instagram era. Like,
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
think that that's part of why there's been a spike, or?
I mean, it can be. I mean, anytime you're able to get information out to more people, I mean, it makes it more accessible, right? It's easy to like look up something now and be like, "Oh, SBD is where I should get knee sleeves," or like, "This is the website for this." So it's, unless like Erin was saying, magazines, is where she got it from. So, unless like you're around that, but now you can just look it up, or find somebody online that does it. It's easier to find like coaches if you don't have one in your area and stuff like that. So, yeah, I absolutely think it contributes to the larger participation, especially in our state.
Good. All right, Coach.
next category, transitioning after high school. So, we know a little bit because Morgan shared with us already that she transitioned into collegiate powerlifting. Erin, did you continue to compete post high school, or did high school kind of stop your run there?
No, I continued. I actually, so at the time there were very few collegiate programs. Louisiana Tech, Louisiana State, any others maybe? I mean, there were a few teams. There were not
Right,
many.
Texas
And I actually
A&M.
looked at going to Louisiana Tech for a while. I mean, I almost went there, but it was just a little far from home for me. But it, yeah, so I continued on. What happened after high school, though, you lose your high school coach and the high school structure and all of that. And I ended up through USA Powerlifting, got to become really good friends with Priscilla Ribic, and I married her brother. And then Larry Maley and I was a part of the Alaskan Iron Maidens after high school is the team that I trained with. So, but that was, Larry emailing us workouts and me videoing and us trying to figure out how to email videos to each other because the technology just wasn't that easy.
Yeah.
And we did it all remotely, and then we would meet up at meets and we'd do training camps together a couple times a year where we would all fly, coincidentally enough, Spokane. Washington was kind of central so that the Alaska people could come down, and then myself and a gal from Minnesota and somebody from Donna Martz is still around from kind of Idaho, Wyoming. It was kind of a central location. So we would get together once or twice a year for a training camp, which was just us getting together to train together for a weekend. But so I did, I competed through undergrad. I kind of lost it during grad school for PT school. It was just a lot. But my last time I competed was at Women's Nationals in 2017. So, and I still knew how to do it. So
Yeah, and I see that you eventually did a raw meet or two, correct?
a couple, yeah, I tried it.
What'd you
Now
think?
your cup of tea.
I like my knee wraps.
Good for you. Yeah, I understand that. That's
Yeah.
good.
Any consideration of coming out of retirement here?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I still weight train fairly off and on. I'll get back in and out of the gym. I've got a crabby hip from being a silly girl with trying to do wide leg deadlifts at one point in my life, and so when I start training heavy again, things start getting a little ornery. But I don't know if I'd compete again, but I will always lift. I mean, that's just part of
Yeah.
part of me.
Yeah. Well, eventually you get in a different category than the open, right?
I would
And then
be. I'm
Dang.
an M1. I'm an
the play-
M1.
yeah, the playing field levels up again, you
Yep.
know?
Mhm.
All right. How about
Morgan,
you,
tell us about
Morgan?
your college time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
summarize it.
I'll do my best. So when I finished high school, 2018 is when I graduated. I went on to Midland University in Fremont, Nebraska, and got trained under Tim Anderson. So yeah, so competed collegiately there for 4 years, and then yeah, the last meet that I did was in 2024. So that's the last time I've competed. I plan on competing again. I still want to try and make it to the Arnold. So yeah.
Yeah. So when speaking of scholarships, there what Aaron said there's maybe a couple schools
Yes,
known for
mine was a
powerlifting.
scholarship. So I
Yeah,
did get a scholarship
Morgan
for
is like,
powerlifting.
you know, that's when powerlifting scholarships were kind of starting at the college level. There was only 3 that we're aware of because most of the other schools were running as clubs. So like you could go to Ohio State and other schools and be on their club, but you know, you're still funding yourself to go to these meets. The
Right.
scholarships, they're paying you to come to school. They're paying for your meets. They're paying for your equipment. Makes a big difference and change and stuff.
Yeah. And
And
what was
now,
special about Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
and just now we have Davenport University, Aaron, within our own state. Northwood University in our own state, they're both giving out scholarships for powerlifting.
That's
A
cool.
lot's changed even since Morgan
Yeah, I think
competed.
Louisiana Tech, like, it was a club sport, but what they could offer was if you were coming as a power lifter, they would waive the out of state tuition. Like that was the
Oh,
Sure.
so your best bet was to try to get some kind of academic scholarship to at least.
Yeah. I
But yeah,
can
that
relate.
was Billy Jack Talton was able to kind of talk the college in at that point to giving him something he could offer to help him recruit. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
the
So when you competed post high school, did you compete at a collegiate nationals or did you just do meets?
I did collegiate nationals, I think once. The calendar got really crazy. It got crazy with having to go to open nationals to qualify there. Junior nationals was another option for junior lifters and collegiates. And just with how the calendar lined up with those plus the international meets, you really had to make some decisions or you'd be competing 12 times a year, which isn't super good idea. So
Right.
yeah, it's a lot. They're all really close
yeah,
together,
so I
or
did do
were
collegiate.
anyways.
Yeah, I did do collegiates 1 year. I think I needed to do it. I think Tina Carter was kind of the other 97-pounder my age, and I think I forget what order they were in, but if the first meet happened, you could win your international spot by going to the second meet and beating that total. So I think I had to go 1 year to kind of make sure
Sure.
that
No, that's understandable. Yeah, we kind of learned through the process with Morgan, like she, after so long, her goal was to be on the U.S. national team and compete at Worlds. So we realized we had to go to the Raw national meet. So she gave up volleyball her senior year of high school because it was during like the beginning of October and she was going to have to be gone. So she went there and finished second, but she did well enough with her Wilk score at the time that they invited her to be on the sub junior national team.
nice.
So she had that, you know, goal and she made it happen. But, you know, I think over time, everybody, you know, it's growing so much. Like these guys, coaches are seeing them at all these and everything's streamed now too. So I don't know that they necessarily need to see you in person anymore,
Yeah.
but it doesn't
The
hurt.
live stream is helpful.
Yeah. I mean, these things are live streamed now, and it's pretty cool. So before we go on, I'm getting off here, Coach Whittaker, a little bit, but was Gino around when you were lifting?
Oh, when I was, no, the first time I got to hear Gino say my name was in 2017.
Okay,
Well, he
gotcha.
might have come.
Gosh.
He
All right, I
might
wasn't
have.
sure.
Yeah, you know, he may have come because I did compete to qualify for nationals in Washington. I mean, there may have been a meet along the way that he was at, but yeah,
Sure.
no, that was not at all during
Yeah,
my time.
he's like a staple announcer,
Mhm.
Coach Whittaker,
Oh,
at the
yeah.
USA Big
Yeah.
Meet.
I
No,
know.
he came out. We hosted Raw Nationals here in 2018, and he was out for all 4
Yeah,
days.
Morgan would have been at that meet. That would have
Okay.
been her first meet at
Yep.
Midland University that she
Yep.
competed at. Yeah.
That's funny.
It's the first meet of hers I wasn't at. Had to
was-
watch it on
Yeah.
the live stream.
It was
That's
bonkers.
crazy. No, that's cool. So going back, my first time watching her lift collegiately, there was one college. They had a ton of spirit, but they were annoying because they rung these damn cowbells all the time. Do you remember a school doing that when you competed?
Was
At
that
all?
Was that Louisiana Tech?
I think it was Louisiana Monroe,
Okay.
ULM, because that's what they would chant. ULM, ULM, and they're just these cowbells the whole time during awards and stuff. I'm just like, holy smokes, we can't even hear their names. But everybody said, oh, they're always like this. It's just a staple. I'm like, oh my Lord. I hope they don't get too many more medals down the road because this is loud and obnoxious. But it was different atmosphere. But they had some spirit, I can tell you that.
There you have it, folks. That's part 1. If you enjoyed this, please give us a like and a share. Push us out there. Let other people hear it. Share it with your friends. And we'll see you back on Thursday for part 2 of this interview with Morgan Gilliam and Erin Ribic.
Bars chopped up, clocks counting down. Another early morning in a small town gym right now. Steel on sleeves, heart in your hands. Every rep, every meet, building Michigan's strongest plans. Welcome to the platform, where the stories weigh a ton. Squat, bench, dead, we rise as one. Michigan's lifters, this is our home. Turn it up, feel that foam. This is the platform. Bus rides, late nights, singles in the duffel bag. White lights, red lights, every call, every flag. From the first warm up to that last grind set. We talk chalk, talk nerves, talk the best you haven't met yet. Welcome to